Hey, ¿qué pasa, bandita? Soy Gato Play y estamos en una video reacción a Deku contra Asta. Voy a tomar agüita porque así lo quiso el chat. Deku contra Asta, no sé quién vaya a ganar. La mayoría dice que Asta, yo les creo. Espero que gane Asta. No me gusta mucho Boku no Hero, así que no me vendría mal, la verdad. Vamos a darle y a ver qué nos espera, güey. Yo, con que la batalla esté chingona, me doy por bien servido, güey, la verdad. El Deku.
Asta, the anti-magical ass kicker from Black Clover.
Black Clover. Tienen casi un inicio similar, ¿no? Mira, el pajarín, el Ábalos. Let's verse follow, papu.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
Okay.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win.
Eso sí, güey, un chingo de habilidades de Asta no le sirven contra Deku, ¿no? Porque no usa magia. Eso puede ser un problema.
To be a beacon of hope, just like his idol, the #1 ranked superhero in Japan, All Might.
El Old Might, güey. Pero ahorita está muerto, güey.
This is like a reverse X-Men thing where 80% of the population gets red superpowers, or quirks as they're called, while the remaining fifth
Qué bonito
are
mundo,
stacked
¿no?
as
¿Te
basic
imaginas?
bitches, or as his spiky
Qué perro, güey.
Bakugo called him, Deku.
That's a pun on the Japanese word dekunobu, meaning good for nothing.
No para nada. Qué ojete, güey. El mayor fan de All Might. Tipo de sangre o tiene 16 años. Pensé que tenía como 18 el Deku. Está morrillo,
And All Might didn't want just anybody. The hero world was filled with glory seekers in it for fame and money. All Might wanted someone whose body moved.
Eso sí, güey, Boku no Hero tiene buenas waifus, ¿eh? Eso no se puede negar, güey. No se puede. Toma agüita. Va a matar de apura, güey, el Gojira.
The recoil from even one punch would shatter all the bones in his arm. So he trained to be able to handle his gift
Se le
at the
pudrió.
superhero school of his dreams. UA High.
And that's when he decided to own the name used as a cudgel against him for so many years. Turns out, Deku can also be an abbreviation for Dekuru, someone who can do anything.
Oh, perro, se la volteó, güey.
Opposite of Dekunobu. One for All allows Deku to release
One for All,
absolutely absurd
fallín.
amounts of strength from different parts
Sensor
of
de
his body,
peligro.
with super moves named after US cities and states.
Deku still can't access
Smoke
all
screen.
his power
Ah,
safely,
la
though.
verga.
Using 100% will quickly destroy his body, which is why he learned to distribute his strength evenly across his body.
Black Whip. Tiene látigos, ¿verdad? Sí, cierto.
This lets him increase his speed and
Y
durability.
también tiene un sentido arácnido, güey. Sheesh.
Shifting focus to his own interpretation of One for All, inspired by his pal Ida, shoot style.
Where he pulls out a Glock and blows your brains out.
A puro patadón se la lleva.
But in keeping with One for All's rabbit
El Deku
theme,
verguiándose al Asta en el
All Might's
Jump Force.
signature punches for kicks. My version's better. You ever seen Rabbit versus Gun?
No, Box.
I know how it plays out.
Considering the much higher muscle mass of a human's legs, shoot
One
style
for All,
allows
full
him to
comic?
even more
¿Qué?
power while giving his arms a break. A break
¿Full
from a break.
And despite being a classic melee build, Deku can fight at range by punching powerful gusts of air and even precisely aim them.
Güey, ese ataque del dedo está bien verga.
Deku has an
Me mola cómo le hace, güey.
encyclopedic knowledge of quirks and is always analyzing
Está bien perro esa, ¿eh?
this is mid-battle, even if he does sound a little weird.
Despite only barely getting accepted in the first place, Deku quickly became one of Class 1A's most dependable fighters. Because,
Perro.
yeah, somehow these students are
Oh,
constantly
la verga,
getting
esos
drafted
emojis,
into
güey.
literal wars against murderous supervillains.
Del berraca.
Glorious successes in battle against ruthless criminals like Stain, Muscular, and Overhaul came much to his old bully's chagrin.
A la verga, ¿qué le pasó en el pelo?
Bakugo was a child prodigy, he now found himself overshadowed by his hard-working rival, and the two would use their mutual respect and
Eso se ve muy gay.
to motivate each other.
Solo
to
digo,
get
o sea,
stronger.
Classic frenemies.
Nada mal si son.
They're only solving their problems by pounding the living tar out of each other.
Luckily for him, Deku
pensé que ya se iba a acabar,
learned
dije
that
que-
living tar pounding wasn't the only thing he could do. Turns out, One for All did not originate with All
Como el
Might.
Avatar,
It had
güey.
been passed down 8 times until it arrived at Deku, with each inheritance also carrying the previous user's natural
Bien plagiado el
quirks as well.
Avatar, ¿no?
Like Black Whip, which lets him manifest crazy long and strong energy tendrils to tie enemies up and swing around the
Okay.
city. Or or shoot one out of his mouth, just like our girl Fruppy.
And
A la verga.
sense, which gives him a minor reactive precognition.
AKA, he's Spider-Man. Not even a reach, the mangaka is like the biggest Spidey fan ever.
He can also
Es
produce a
basado,
smoke
pues.
screen to mask his presence, float in midair, or store kinetic energy
¿Qué
over
hace?
time with fudge. Oh,
A la verga.
Like that. By storing up enough, he can even match All Might's max power without any recoil to boot. Strong
Okay.
enough to change the weather and create city blocks.
Es lo que vimos en el episodio de All Might.
and he's even stronger with his newest quirk, Gear Shift, which
Gear
allows
Shift.
him to increase the speed of an object anytime he touches it. In conjunction
Okay.
with the power of All for One, he can use this to warp reality itself.
¿Qué?
You can go toe-to-toe with arch-villains like Shigaraki, who's fast enough to react
Reality
to
warping?
and catch laser beams with his bare hands.
But nothing could prepare him for All Might's archenemy, the shadowy leader of the League of Villains, All for One.
All Might only ever showed his young pupil kindness,
La verga.
but that couldn't change the absolutely crushing pressure Deku felt at every moment.
Even classically
No llore, no llore.
dickhead Bakugo came to help his teammate out when he needed it. Like when they teamed up to share One for All and punch an island-sized hole in the clouds 24 miles high.
Just goes to
Isla.
show that even One for All isn't a one-man army.
Debe dar más que Isla, ¿no?
His strength comes from his teamwork between himself and his friends.
And with their help, Deku will surely become that beacon of hope he dreamt about as a child.
One hero for all
¿Ya se acabó?
mankind.
Sheesh. ¿Y la Speed?
Magic! You know it, you
¿Y la
love
Speed?
it, and in the world of Black Clover, it doesn't come
Oh,
from
me
a
distraje,
box
güey.
bought at a tacky West Hollywood costume shop. Everyone's got it.
Sepa la verga.
Is the source of all magic, a supernatural energy found in the air and in living beings, except living beings whose names are Asta.
El
Not
Asta.
only was the young Asta an
Hasta la
orphan
vista.
abandoned by his mother at a church as a
Frase
baby,
típica.
he was
¡Ah!
born with a mutation that prevents him from
Qué pedo.
having any mana to speak of. Well, neither do I, and you don't
Quiere ser
need to
el
cry
rey
about
mago.
it.
Yes, you do, all of the time. But Asta had a dream. Despite his lack of
The Black
magic, he and
Clover
his best
is
friend Hiro promised
real.
each other one of them would rise to the
Can we
throne
get
of the
much
greatest
higher,
military position in the
so
land,
high,
the Wizard
oh,
King.
high.
Wizard King? Really, guys? Sometimes they call it Magic Emperor, but we all know what they mean.
So he dedicated himself to getting swole as
No, le
all
falta decir de
hell.
veras,
In a
¿no?
world of nerds, he would be its lone jock god, shoving every last wizard into a locker.
Está bien mamado el Asta, güey,
until
what the
they
fuck.
crowned him king.
But huge, frightening pectorals on a tiny, screaming goblin child weren't enough on its own. He needed
Sheesh.
something powerful enough to shut down his opponent's magic.
He needed the 5-leaf Clover Grimoire.
Essentially a book of spells, a grimoire will choose its user and float beside their wielder at
Qué
all
culero que te
times.
elijo un libro
And
bien
Asta was
ojete, ¿no?
lucky enough to receive the Uno Reverse
Porque él
card
te
of
eligió a ti, güey.
Grimoires.
Es lo mejor que puedo
The 5-leaf
encontrar.
Clover can harness the power of anti-magic, which will literally nullify the effects of other magic spells. Almost like wizard kryptonite. Let the locker stuffing commence! Haha, get nerds!
It
Quiero ver
was
qué nivel le dan a
was
Asta, güey.
accepted into one of the 9 squads of Clover Kingdom's Magic Knights, the Black Bulls, filled with lazy drunkards, antisocial otakus, and literal sociopaths.
My kind of people!
Sociópata.
Yep, mostly. But much like with Asta, you shouldn't judge a grimoire by its cover. And soon they were all working together.
A la
and
verga, una
kicking ass
enana.
like a family should.
No lo había visto.
Asta harnesses the power of
Se ve bien cagado
anti-magic
porque está
by
cabezona,
summoning
güey.
swords imbued with it from the grimoire. Normally, these swords would quickly drain the mana from anyone foolish enough to wield them, but Asta does not have any mana, turning his greatest weakness into a
Perro.
one-of-a-kind strength.
He's got his classic Demon Slayer, an
Okay.
enormous greatsword which cuts through spells with
sensing.
its edge
¿Puede
and
detectar
deflects them
ki?
with its flat. Or the Demon
Magia Black
Queller, which
Asta.
can also absorb
Sacrificio
and
del
copy
cuerpo.
magic, then toss it right back to
What?
sender.
I think my personal favorite is the more complex
What?
Demon Destroyer, which severs the
Tiene
relationship
4
between a
espadas,
spell's
¿no? Igual.
cause and effect, countering the effects of its magic. This could result in anything from healing a village that was inflicted with poison to preventing reincarnation.
Yeah,
Órale, güey.
some of these can get a little heady. I personally prefer keeping it simple, like using anti-magic telekinesis to surf on your sword through
Güey,
the
está
sky.
bien perro volar en una
It's worth noting
espada,
that
¿no?
these swords are made specifically for
Se ve bien
countering
épico.
magical attacks and sources of mana. The swords will act as though
Okay.
blunted when striking non-magical foes, more akin to giant clubs than actual blades. Not entirely
Ok.
inconsistent
Es
with
como si le
real-life
pegaras con un palo, ¿no?
But none of that's even close to as cool as his deadliest sword, the Demon Slasher, a katana
La
as black
verga.
as the pits of hell and twice as badass.
This one actually does cut like a sword, but it's complicated.
Okay.
It lets Asta actually select what he does and does not want to cut, only affecting his target while leaving anything else unharmed.
Puede elegir lo que cortar y lo que no.
Magic with a loophole.
And he's studied the blade long enough to become a master swordsman to boot. Not in the real life sense, in the anime sense.
He can spin himself like a tornado to deflect magic spells, thrust forward at top
Un
speed like
espadachín en
a
el sentido de
charging
anime.
bull, launch a barrage of anti-magic projectiles, and even channel anti-magic into his swords to vastly increase their
A
size.
la verga.
Well, while he may be no good with mana, he has learned to detect ki. Because,
Okay.
of course,
The life force existing in
Porque
all
sí dice.
things. Asta can detect hidden opponents and even predict their movements ahead of time, as
Oh.
long as he's fast enough to react.
with such crazy
Eso se chinga el sentido arácnido.
taking on threats like the Eye of the Midnight Sun, the Devil's
¿Qué?
Hagrid, and
Los
the
Midnight
Dark
Suns.
Triad. So many nerds, never enough lockers. Too bad for Asta, though. He had one serious
Ok, pero...
Literally,
La
housed
fuerza.
within the five-leaf clover grimoire was Liba, a demon exiled from hell for completely lacking magical powers, and who just so happened to get adopted by Asta's mother.
Until
Hola.
he got possessed by a different demon and killed her.
Hola.
Vowing vengeance on all demonkind, Liba manifested anti-magic from his hatred as a way to kick their asses.
Pobrecito Asta,
which
¿no?
gave him and Asta a lot of common ground, despite the whole, mom murder thing.
In fact, the two became true brothers
Charlie.
and formed an unstoppable duo. Liba can actually fully merge with Asta for a massive power boost that lasts up
A la
to 5
verga.
minutes, at the cost of
El
leaving
modo
Asta
cum.
powerless
El modo
for the
cum
next
negro.
half
Come on, I want it. Yeah, I mean, I'll take it if I get to be strong enough to slice buildings to pieces, uproot huge chunks of earth, and tear the most powerful demons apart. Give me the goddamn book. I'm the book boy.
Lo
Okay?
rompen, ¿no?
Even characters earlier in the series like Patoli had magic capable
Oh.
of completely vaporizing the entire Clover Kingdom in a single attack. And demons that Asta has fought since then, like Dante and Lucifero, are leagues stronger.
Ya ganó Asta, ¿no?
Screw all these demon forms and anti-magic powers. Asta's body is so incredibly
A la
well-trained,
verga, güey.
he dodged a
Todo
beam of
reino, ¿no?
light while sleeping. As in,
Desintegró todo el reino a la verga.
the force of his sneeze pushed his head out of the way of a beam of light. Light
Okay.
sneezes, everyone.
Like speed.
And despite his headstrong and irritating personality,
AKA screaming at the top of his lungs as often as possible.
Asta's an intelligent fighter who has leveraged his skill against far more experienced foes.
He
Ok.
wouldn't be anywhere without the ragtag band of deviants he calls friends. With them at his side, there's no way he won't climb the ranks to take the Wizard King's throne. Especially with Yuno pushing them both to get stronger.
Le dieron nomás Leg
Unlike
Speed,
other
¿no? Bueno,
classic shonen
relativista de
rivalries,
ser.
this one isn't tainted by antagonism. They truly want what's best for each other, even if they're competing for the same throne.
Yuno's gonna need all the luck he can get, cause even if Asta never gets mana of his own, his true magic is never given up.
¡Oye, perga! Pues creo que va a ganar Asta. Al parecer tiene más fuerza. No hablaron de la velocidad de Deku, creo, pero creo que deberían estar iguales, al menos en Death Battle. Y pues con la pura fuerza, ¿no? A ver. Asta, dale. No sé si Deku tenga algo con qué matar a Asta. Parece que no. Sheesh.
Just gotta hit him really hard.
No, tengo que golpearlo muy fuerte, la verga. Ok. Ojalá el escenario cambie, ¿eh? De repente. Que les pongan otro escenario estaría muy bueno, ¿eh? Aprovechando que es un coliseo.
Man, this guy can give even luck a run for his money.
¡A la verga! Va a estar bien tenso el ambiente para los fans de ambos animes, ¿eh? Vergazote, güey.
Aren't swords supposed to be sharp?
No lo corta, ¿no?
His speed isn't slowed by his sword's weight at all. Gotta hamper his movements and get that book out.
Ok, aquí sacó el sneak peek. A ver qué tal. ¿Por qué salta así, güey? ¡Oh! ¡A la verga! ¿Zoro? ¡A la verga!
Now it's my turn.
Se lo papeó.
Wait, are you not using magic? What kind of magic emperor would I
¿No estás usando magia?
like this? Detroit?
¡Oh! Se lo cubrió, ¿eh? ¡Ah! Le quitó las espadas. Lleva la chingona, ¿no? Puto spammer. Uy, el libro. Sheesh. Ok. ¿No le duele si le corta un pinche látigo? Ah, la verga. De nada le sirvió, güey. ¿Qué chingados es Detroit? La verga. ¿Qué pasó ahí? Ok, ese es en esta verga, ¿eh? Sheesh.
No use not going all out anymore. I just gotta hit him. Really?
Se la va a voltear, ¿no? A la verga la estrategia, dice. El Mike. Sheesh. Sheesh. ¿Asta? ¿Estás bien, papu?
I did it.
What? Lo hice. ¡Oh!
Take that, Detroit.
Toma eso, Detroit. Sí, el Mr. Satan, güey. A la verga, pobre Deku, güey. Pinche acupuntura, ¿no? Verga, güey. Güey, cuando cayó Asta pensé que había caído su cabeza nomás. Dije, ¿qué? Ok, sí ganó Asta. Estuvo buena, ¿eh?
Though, to be fair, the variety of quirks Deku inherited from past users of One for All did make him
No mames, el Deku le acomodaron la espalda, güey. Enderece ese cabrón.
Supernatural energy source like mana. So Asta's anti-magic powers were basically useless here.
Simón.
Deku was generally a smarter and more tactical fighter, but against Asta's incredible might, this time Braun.
Sí, güey. Es que era demasiado la diferencia de fuerza, ¿no? Toma agüita.
Deku's greatest feat of strength was splitting that enormous cloud formation with Bakugo.
By measuring the size of the island and comparing it to the clouds above, we can determine they dispersed over 63 trillion
¿Eso cuánto
kilograms
es,
of
pues?
water.
That's the weight of the Great Pyramid of Giza. 12,000 of them.
And required an energy of
bueno.
nearly 80 teratons of TNT per
Teratones.
Let's compare that to
Eso
us.
era...
But Tony's spell was going to
¿Continental?
be strong enough to vaporize a country the size of the Clover Kingdom.
We can use this map from the manga to estimate the size of Clover Kingdom to be
La
about
verga.
500 kilometers in diameter.
Lo vaporizó, güey. Es que
About
sí
half the
está
length of Great
cabrón,
Britain.
¿eh?
Vaporizing a country of
Encima
that
vaporizar.
size would require an energy of over 480 teratons of TNT,
sheesh.
over 6 times greater than Deku's
Y
punch.
eso debe ser
While Asta
multicontinental,
uses anti-magic, it isn't an
supongo.
automatic counter and needs to be comparable in strength to the spell it's combating.
Más
And
lento
Asta's
igual era,
gotten
¿eh?
way stronger since.
Asta
Nomás
was
era
also
más táctico y tenía más
sure
poderes.
scaling to Shigaraki would give
Pobre
Deku
Deku, güey.
roughly light speed reaction time.
But Asta could dodge light in his sleep, and that's his base form. Even before
Pobre Deku.
transforming with Liba to get way faster.
And since Deku and Asta's precognitive abilities more or less
Se
matched
quedó
each other,
de
it was only a
cunclillas.
matter of time before Asta simply overwhelmed him.
Especially since Deku has struggled in the past against faster opponents. Sure,
Okay.
Deku was smarter, but if he literally didn't have enough time to come up with a plan of attack before getting hammered, his brains were wasted.
Deku's tactical brilliance and harem-scarum tenacity definitely gave his opponent a run for his money. But Asta's raw power, blinding speed, and deadly
A ver, quiero ver el
weapons
final,
spelled
güey.
the end for All Might's
Es
people.
lo que me emociona, güey. Me voy a zurrar, güey. Solo espero que no sea malo, güey. No sé, es que no sé qué esperar, güey. No sé qué esperar, es el pedo. Mira, ahí salió Ábalos. A ver, espero que sea algo chido, nada más. Estoy temblando, güey, estoy temblando, la verga. Por favor, que sea algo bueno, por favor, que sea algo bueno. Viva Perú, cabrones. Dead Battle. ¿Qué? 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 ¿Dragon Ball? ¿Qué? ¡Vegeta! ¡Vamos! ¡Vamos! ¡20 contra Vegeta! ¡Sí! ¡Sí! ¡Goku contra Goku! ¡Es Goku contra Goku! ¡Vamos! ¡Vamos! ¡Sí! ¡Sí, cabrón! ¡Sí! ¡Ah! ¡Qué rico, güey! ¡Vamos! ¡No mames! ¡Sí, güey! Me voy a encuerar a la verga. Me voy a encuerar, güey. ¡Qué rico! Voy a activar el modo texto. ¡No mames! ¡Villito! ¡Oh, güey! ¡Qué rico! Gogeta contra Villito. ¿Poggers? Nah, güey. Ahora sí le van a hacer justicia, güey. Porque la DBX no me llenó, güey. ¡Vamos! ¡Vamos, güey! ¡Qué rico, güey! Nah, mames. Me la bajaron en directo, güey. ¿Cómo que me duele Phil? Ah, ya llegó el Phil. ¿Cómo puede ser, güey? No, qué rico. ¿El 20 dijo? No, es como que el 20, güey. No me digas eso. No me digas eso, güey. 20 de diciembre. What? ¿Por qué el 20 de diciembre? ¿Qué hay martes? El 20 de diciembre es martes. ¿Eh? No sé, lo explicarán, ¿no? Pero, Bellito contra Gogeta. Sí, Goku contra Goku. Les dije, güey. Les dije al inicio del stream, va a ser Goku contra Goku. Y se cumplió, güey. Y se cumplió. No, güey. Ah, qué buen final va a ser. Qué buen final va a ser, güey. Sí. Sheesh. Qué rico, güey. Vamos. No, es que no irónicamente, esta es una de mis batallas preferidas, güey. Se los juro, es que se los juro, güey. Nah, mames, gané. Le metí como 3 vergas a la mesa otra vez, güey, pero ni pedo. Qué rico, güey. Qué rico. Ahorita vamos a repetir la pelea. Estuvo bien el episodio de Deku contra Asta, pero definitivamente lo que más me gusta es el next time, güey. Definitivamente, ya quiero verlo, güey. Se va a poner bien verga, güey. Gracias por ver, denle like, suscríbanse, fui Gato Place y nos vemos en la siguiente video de reacción. No sé, parece que va a ser el martes, pero pues, no sé, a ver cómo le hago para reaccionar, ¿no? Espero que les haya gustado y chao.